my channel. This is Cindy, and if you don't know me, I make videos about self-love, mental health and self-development. And if you like these type of videos, please give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. So today I wanted to make a video about whether you should start therapy and my experience with doing therapy. If you want to learn more about my experience with therapy or you're just unsure about whether it is for you, please continue watching. Let's start with why you should start therapy. So everyone is in a different situation, and I don't want to give any advice that I'm not, I don't have enough information to kind of make that judgment. But I wanted to say that if you want to go to therapy and you were thinking about going to therapy, I recommend you trying it and see if it's for you. So the reason why I started therapy was I was looking at a range of factors in my life, whether my mental health was affected, and I saw that there's various aspects of my life that I was trying to adjust to, and that I need a bit of like support around, so I decided to seek for therapy. If you look at different aspects of your life, whether it's personal, like relationships, or work life, or health, there could be a lot of issues in all of these different areas that can come up in your life, depending on your age, depending on your life stage and life experience. So if you're wondering whether should I go to therapy, I recommend you just trying it. And I know that you might be thinking, but then isn't that a waste of time if I end up not liking it and I spent heaps of money on it? Well, as long as you know you tried it and it wasn't for you, so you don't have that bugging feeling like, oh, I should have tried it, right? Another reason I would try therapy is that if you are finding that your mental health is affecting your function. So what I mean by functioning is your ability to partake in your everyday activities, like as simple as getting up in the morning to go to work, or getting up in the morning to have breakfast and getting on with your day, or even going out to seeing friends. Like all of these tasks seem to be really hard and challenging. I would recommend you seeking for professional help, because I see that there's a lot of people out there, based on my experience working with people in my profession, that they end up like not seeking for help until they hit rock bottom. No one really understands me, and I'm just like, I feel like everything is against me, really. What do you think? When you are not at like rock bottom and you're just kind of like on the edge of like falling into that hole, that is when you have a more capacity to take in information, to learn skills, to practice them before you do hit rock bottom. And so for me, I'm a true believer of prevention and getting in help early on to just prevent the damages, because it's a lot harder to fix a damaged vase than to make it stronger and so that it doesn't break. So I wanted to add a bit of personal experience in this video, because this might kind of give an example of when you might want to seek for therapy. Therapy isn't always like talked about in Asian culture, and I don't know if your family is the same, but when we go through negative emotions, we don't really talk about it. We just express it in a way that's not very helpful. So it was really hard for me to talk about my feelings to other people, and to recognize that I do have emotions that should be acknowledged and validated. So like thinking about talking to a stranger about my feelings was like really nerve-wracking and kind of unsettling, but I feel like it was something that I needed. And the reason why I started doing therapy is because I'm someone who's really into growing, being a better person, and I was always very interested in how I can learn more about myself so I can thrive in life. And so I did a degree in relating to psychology, and I learned a lot about our brain. But even though I learned about it, it wasn't enough for me to deal with my emotions. So I decided to like read more about psychology and like the different types of attachment styles and things like that. So I wanted to talk about and how I found different therapists and what was helpful and what was not, because every therapist is very different, and I know some people might have gone through different therapists and they found that it wasn't very helpful. And I don't want you to feel discouraged, because there's always going to be a therapist out there that will be the right fit for you. Not saying that one therapy style is better than another therapy style, but I'm just saying that there is going to be someone that matches your style, and that you're going to find more progress and gains from that approach. So let's start with the unhelpful things that that a therapist might have or like display. So some of the unhelpful things that a therapist might do is just let you talk. And what I'm saying is, with my experience, if a therapist just likes to talk and there is no like back and forth interaction, I personally feel like there is something wrong with me, because I'm saying all of these different issues and the therapist is just staring at me and not responding to it. And I feel like, is this like something really serious? And like for me, like sometimes I can read someone's like I guess facial expression and how they might feel, but other times I'm like, are they trying to hide something? Like, what do they actually think? It's good to give me space to talk, but sometimes letting me talk for like 30 minutes straight, or like even like 10 minutes straight, can be too much, because I feel like I need a bit of guidance and a bit of like validation from the therapist. Another thing that I don't find helpful is if the therapist asks me questions that was like answered already, or like could be answered already in the response I had before. So I had a therapist who asked me about my culture, and I think maybe it would be helpful if I told her that in that moment, that I really want to talk about what I'm here for, and maybe it'll be helpful if you do extra research about my culture. But I think that made me realize that, should I find someone that is from a similar culture to me, who grew up as like an Australian Asian, with the same religion. Like I felt like I should find someone that was exactly like similar to me, I meant in my upbringing. But I'm very wrong about that, because I had a different experience where the therapist is from a different culture from mine, but she because she was more experienced with working with different cultures, and herself, like, she probably was exposed to different cultures, and she kind of understood what what my culture came with, like the different expectations and communication styles, family dynamics in Asian culture. So I felt like, oh, like, she knows. Not saying that she was 100% like spot on with like our culture, but I think even having her becoming more culturally aware was really helpful. So for any therapists out there, I really recommend you doing research yourself, or like interacting with people from different cultures, even outside of work. And at work, like, try to really understand that there's different cultures out there, and don't expect like your client to teach you about it during the therapy session, because I think maybe like clarifying like, oh, is this how it is, like can be really helpful. But I think if like a client is in distress and they come to you, they don't really want to teach you things. They want to feel validated and yeah, have the experience normalized. Talking about the same things over and over again can be quite like draining and not helpful. So I think I like a therapist who could kind of like get right to the point with like, help me get right to the point in a way, because I can like, for me, like, I can go on and on and on about the same thing, because I don't know, I think when I have an issue, it just stays in my head and it's hard for me to get it out and let it go. So I find it helpful if the therapist would kind of be like, oh, so when you talked about this, what are the things that you would think will be helpful, and think about strategies, and go to the root cause, rather than like letting me talk. And I think it goes back to like letting me just talk for like an hour without any solution or any guidance or any validating, because it just leaves me feeling like I gotta just sit with this by myself. And that's a very scary feeling, like when a therapist brings out emotions and they just let you sit with it after the session, and there's no way for you to cope with those feelings, and there's no check-in about those feelings in the next session because it's been like a few weeks or something. So I do recommend therapists are amazing. They are there to help people and they always have good intentions. So I really don't want you to watch this video and be against therapy and not try it at all. So let's talk about the helpful things that therapists do. So some of the helpful things that they do is normalizing experiences. So like a therapist that was really helpful made my experience feel very normal by actually being vulnerable herself and talking about her own personal experience. Like, it made me feel really different about therapy, because I realized that, oh, like when I'm in this therapy session, it's not just like me like being vulnerable, but it's also the person like trying to like connect with me. And there's this sense of like, I am not alone. And I feel like a lot of people who go to therapy often feel like they're alone in their own personal experience, and that's why they need help, because a lot of distress comes from like not feeling like you are normal, or your feelings are normal, or what you're doing is the right thing, and whether life will feel better. So when a therapist like becomes vulnerable, it really helps me feel like, you know, life is not always gonna be easy, and it makes me realize the reality of life, and that everyone goes through like hard times, and everyone goes through conflicts, and you know, no one is perfect, so everything takes work. So it made me feel like I'm normal and that I can work through my problems. And another thing is validating my emotions is so helpful. And I don't for those who come from an Asian family, like, it is hard for us sometimes to feel like our emotions are important, because sometimes they are shut down. Sometimes our parents don't know how to exactly talk about those emotions because they didn't learn how to do that. So they just suppress it and prioritize other things in their life, and that is unhelpful, because when you have your own family, your own relationship, you end up doing the same thing, and that doesn't really help, because we all know that communication is key. But if we don't know how to do it, we won't do it at all. I really like how the therapist actually shows how to validate my emotions and another person's emotions, and it really shows that as humans we can communicate our emotions, and that these emotions are very normal. There is no bad feeling. Like, every feeling, even the negative, the ones we label as negative, are normal. Like anger, disappointment, jealousy, guilt, shame. All of these are real feelings that should not be suppressed. You should not feel like it's bad to feel these feelings, because as humans we have a range of complex feelings. And so what helped me the most is realizing that feelings and emotions are actually messages. There are messages telling you about something that is wrong, something that you need, so that needs to be addressed. And that's very normal. But sometimes these emotions elicit behaviors and reactions. We react to these emotions that in a not very helpful way. So how I guess therapy is about exploring these emotions and realizing that you can respond in ways that are more helpful and that won't break relationships, that won't break that won't ruin your life. So I wanted to do in this video to kind of leave some tips for you if you are thinking of starting therapy. So the things that I wish I did before therapy is I wish I was more clear on what I wanted from a therapist, and I guess what my intentions were with therapy and what it would look like if I went through that process. So the desired outcomes from that. And another thing is being clear on like my ideal therapist and not being so fixed on those traits, because when I said that I wanted someone who was from the same background as me, culture, I was really wrong about that, like as being like a non-negotiable, because I found like the therapist that actually was helpful was not from the same background as me, and maybe that was actually not what I needed. It was something else. The right therapist for you might be someone that is totally different from what you think. Another thing that you got to consider is the cost of therapy. So everyone knows that therapy can get really expensive. So if you live in Australia, I'm in New South Wales, so if you know that we have the mental health care plan, and you can go to your GP to ask for that, and that means that you get 20 sessions that are rebated. So the government pays a portion of your like therapy session. I find this really good because you're not having to pay like $200 out of pocket. Another option is to access the Employment Assistance Program, the EAP, and this is usually offered in workplaces, and this is something that I find really helpful. You just want someone to talk to, and it's a free service, and I think it's three free free sessions, and this is good for someone who just needs immediate help and you don't want to have to wait for, be on the waiting list to find a therapist. Another option that I want to put up here is bulk billing. So bulk billing services. So like a local GP, some GPs don't charge their patients. So it's the same thing that there are some psychologists who would get funded by the government and they would work on the bulk billing system. So you just have to use your Medicare card and like your fee would get you won't get charged for it because the government pays for it. I know that the waiting list for bulk billing is usually really long, like 6 months or even more. And so it's worthwhile to try to find a place, but try the other ones if that one is taking too long. Talk about other ways you can kind of cope with your mental health while waiting for these services. So something that has helped me is to journal, and the reason why I do recommend journaling is because often when we are in our head, we can go into a spiral where our thoughts become very unhelpful, and it's kind of like a parasite in a way, once it's in there, it kind of eats up all of the good things, and it's really hard to get out of that negative mindset once you just keep it all in. And so for me, I just try to write it down. Don't feel guilty for writing negative things that are happening that are not good, because this is it's a safe space for you to just write things down, and it just gives you awareness of what is actually happening and how you're actually feeling about it. And all of this, it actually helps you to validate those feelings because you're saying that, yes, I'm actually feeling this way. So that really helped me, and I can look back and be Cindy was going through that, and is she I can reflect on have I gone past that yet, or do I still need to work on this? And that helped me a lot, because sometimes we think that we're over something, over an experience, traumatic experience, but it's actually, maybe we're not. Another thing that has helped me a lot is starting my meditation journey, so I'll talk more about that if you want to. I was thinking of creating a video about my meditation journey and my experience of learning about meditation and becoming a meditation teacher. So meditation is really helpful because it gets me back into my body, it gets me out of my head, and when I do that, I won't overthink, and it actually helps me a lot. Me and my boyfriend meditated together a few times, and I feel it really helped us become more grounded, because both of us can sometimes get really emotional, so we try to have that space where we just go back to our body and relax. We do guided meditations with the Insight Timer app, so that really helps. And it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be really helpful for you in the long run. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a comment down below and subscribe to my channel and give this video a like. It really helped me reach out to people like you, and also helps me know what types of videos that might be helpful. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. I hope you check in with yourself today and make sure that you do things that you enjoy, because our mental health is really important, especially if we want a good quality of life. If you ever need to reach out to me, please you can research my Instagram page down below, or just give me a comment. I'll be happy to respond to you. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!